Unusual Stalker by Aurelia. It's been a month since I found out I was being stalked. You're probably thinking, you, the awkward loner of the school? Julia Brads? Stalked? No way. But it did happen. Let me tell you the story from the top, where it all began. It was a quiet autumn afternoon in my hometown. School just started, and everyone tended to spend the first week of school studying or at a friend's house. Not a single person besides myself was walking home after the first day. I didn't have a car, and the school was close anyway. Birds chirped around me as the floor was desecrated with red, yellow, and orange leaves. The scenery was beautiful, which made walks much more pleasant, but my smile faltered when I reached my house and noted the empty driveway. That meant I had to spend the rest of the day and possibly the entire night by myself. I sighed and walked away. I sighed and walked up the steps to the front porch. As I rummaged for my keys to open the front door, I noticed something right next to the potted plant we had placed there for decoration purposes. I leaned down and crouched, reaching for the object and pulling it out. It was a box. I inspected it, turning it over, and looked for any return address. I found none, but the rounded shaped box was wrapped in a brown paper bag with my name scrawled on it in a very neat way. I thought to myself, this is probably a prank, but maybe it's not. I unlocked the door and walked into the empty house, the box tuckered under my arm. I made my way to the kitchen and set the box on the clean counter, then walked up to the fridge to check if for any leftovers. Finding none, I picked up the phone and ordered pizza. I then tried to do my homework, but my eyes kept flickering to the box, as if it was begging me to open it. I finally succumbed to my curiosity and pulled the box closer. I got it out of the paper bag and shook it. It was welcomed with a satisfying rattle. I opened the box and froze. I saw pictures of, of me, sleeping, eating, walking in the schoolyard, getting bullied, even changing. I looked at the photos with wide eyes. Questions rushed through my head, and I, shaking, inspected the rest of the box contents. What I found was even more unsettling. Every piece of jewelry I lost in the past month was in that box. Back then, I gave no notice to my disappearing earrings, necklaces, and bracelets. I pulled each one out one by one, my hands shaking so badly I almost dropped them in the box. Then I saw it, a piece of paper, folded in half, a note. On one side of on one side, my name was written in the same neat handwriting on the paper back, and the contents shook me to the core. My beautiful Julia, you don't know me, but I sure know you. You caught my eye since the very beginning of high school. You all are all that I think about as I go on with my day. I want you, Julia. You look so cute in those candid photos, and I look forward to telling you my actual name. I look forward in holding you in my arms and kissing you till you can't breathe. Even your scent. Oh, it drives me crazy. All I want is for you to be mine, and only mine. And I want to let you know that I live you, and I'm always watching. With pure love, your secret admirer, I laid the note on the table after reading it for the fifth time. Someone was watching me. Someone was out to get me. And that's when I heard the floor from above me creak, and the sound of footsteps found its way to my ear, making me freeze in horror. I got up from my seat and rushed the hell out of there. I ran out of the house and to the neighbors and pounded on the door once I reached it. I was clutching the letter and my cheeks were wet with tears. Samuel, an older boy who graduated last year, opened the door. He was 6'2", lean and tanned, with emerald eyes that held depths of light at the same time. He had a smile on his face when he saw me, but his welcome was shortly altered to one of the seriousness the moment he noticed my shaking form. Julia, what's wrong? Why are you crying? Sam, there's someone in my house. I shook and let out a sob as he pulled me into a tight embrace. He hugged me and reassured me and ushered me in. Then together, we called the cops. I kept peeking at my house from the window, and I swear I saw someone in my bedroom. My own safe haven was infiltrated, and the last place I considered safe was taken away from me. That caused a new batch of tears to surface. Sam was busy contacting the police and muttering curses until I saw blue and red lights break the quickly growing darkness. A few officers stepped into the house, did a search on every corner of the house, and when they came out, the officer in charge, Officer Walker, walked over to me. I'm sorry, miss, but no one was in the house. Maybe you were just imagining things? But anyway, I'm glad you called us. You did the right thing. If there's anything you need. His words faded into the background noise. Am I losing my mind? Is that all a twisted prank by the kids at school? Or is something really following me? Due to my entire ordeal, I forgot to hand over the creepy letters. Stupid, I know. After the police left, Samuel pulled me closer and whispered, Are you sure you want to go back? You can stay the night here if you want. I foolishly declined, saying that the house is empty and I was safe to go back, according to the officers. He reluctantly nodded and went back to his house, closing the door softly behind him. I crossed the street, shuffling my feet tiredly. And adrenaline ran out, and I felt bone-crushingly tired. The pizza I had ordered arrived only minutes later, and I paid for it. Even though I didn't feel hungry, but it had something in my system. So I spent the night watching movies and eating pizza. When I finally felt tired enough to sleep. It was already 9 p.m. I cleaned around, put the leftover pizza in the fridge, and climbed the stairs to my room. I did my bedtime routine, consistent of showers, brushing my teeth, and putting on comfy pajamas. But as I was sliding into bed, I heard a noise. It was like something falling off a shelf. I dismissed it, since things fell all the time in my chaotic closet. I fell asleep the minute my head hit the pillow. I woke up suddenly and looked around the room. I was woken up by a sound of heavy footsteps. I breathed and looked around the dark room, holding my breath. I suddenly felt a hand clamp on my mouth, and I thrashed and intended to scream as loud as I can. Then I felt a heavy object hit the back of my head. Spots rushed and the world spun around me. My body, going into limp spots, grew until I saw nothing but darkness. I groaned and dried. My eyes flickered open. I felt throbbing pain in the back of my head. But as I went to reach to check it, my hand tugged back by a rope. I realized that I had been tied up. I looked around the room I was in. It was dirty to say the least. The bed I was tied up to had stains that looked really old. I refrained from breathing from my nose since the scent was nauseating. I started to hear voices, footsteps, and I started to tug at the ropes and bit my lip when the rope dug into my skin and roughly rubbed on it. I then heard door unlocking, and in walked a man, Dr. Adast, my chemistry teacher. I gasped and looked up at him. He had a sickly sweet smile on his face, and ice blue eyes were clouded with some unknown emotion. Ah, my love, you finally awake. Calling the cops on me while I was in your room? Not such a great move. I barely got away. But I know you didn't mean it. He walked in closer and grabbed my chin. I tried to look away, but his grip was strong. I think he even left bruises. I've been watching you since you walked into my classroom. God, that tight ass. Those full lips and that exquisite style. You were so shy, so innocent, while the rest was plain rude. He moved his fat fingers down my throat. I sniffed and sobbed and looked away. I begged him to let go. Let you go? Oh no. I'm going to claim you, take you mine, and make you mine. That's when he did the most horrible thing a man could do to a girl. He stripped me bare and took advantage of me. As I screamed and yelled and shouted for help, I felt immense pain, then nothing at all. As soon as I stopped fighting, I just stopped and cried through it, closed my eyes, hoping it was a nightmare. Then he left again. I kept laid bare on the dirty mattress, staring into nothing. Days had passed, or was it months? I lost track of the time. No windows was present in my room, my cell, so I couldn't tell if Mr. Odessa paid me more visits, either to smoke and talk and eventually beat me, or take advantage of me again. My left eye was sealed shut with one of his beatings. My body was thinner and black and blue. I lost consciousness more than once, and I gave up on hope of someone finding me. After he was done, Mr. Adasi would force feed me, and make me drink. Then drinks made me dizzy and sick. Or perhaps the 8th day, or the 80th. I heard shouts, but then fainted in the distance. Shots fired, but Mr. Adasi just made me drink after the last session. I felt the world spin to close my right eye, as my left one still sealed shut. I couldn't talk or move my lips. They were cut and swollen as well. Cuts and open wounds littered my body, and right now I wanted nothing more than to pass on. I heard the door slam, and I whimpered, trying to pass out, trying to crawl away. He will kill me. He will make me wish death was an option. I pass out later on as blows I anticipated never came. I woke up in a white bed, clean, sterile. The room was white. The fluorescent lights were awfully bright. I groaned and turned to my left to see my mother crying. My father had a haunted look on his eyes, but when both laid eyes on me, they let out a sob and hugged me tight. I let you a few tears. Even though the salt water stung my cheeks, I turned to the right to see Samuel, with bloodshot eyes and the messest I've seen him. He looked exhausted, really exhausted. His eyes met mine, and he hugged me too, whispering that he is so sorry, that it was all his fault. I hugged back with my arms I could use and reassure him that it wasn't. Later on, police made it into my room with a doctor. She counted my injuries, and Officer Walker's body went rigid with every word. He took my parents outside after everyone left. We almost got him. What do you mean, almost? The man's still on the loose, but with his injuries, he couldn't go anywhere far. We'll find him. You better, were my father's last words before he walked into my hospital room, then sat beside me. Even after a month, some of my injuries are yet to heal. I'm still scared of going outside my new home because whenever I went, I still feel like I'm being watched by a pair of cold eyes, waiting for the opportunity to take me away again. As unusual, Stalker, go subscribe to her on this if you can. This was a really good part. There's a part 2 that I will be reading on the channel. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.